Welcome to episode 3 of the Lift Lounge. Today we're going to talk about
a roadmap to hitting your goals.
Amazing. Right. Do you want to delve into the first topic straight away?
Just straight into it.
Straight in.
Not even a how you been, man.
I've been good. I've been good.
Yeah.
I've been training.
Good stuff.
What about you?
I would expect so. I've been in the sessions.
Yeah. Except you've been losing weight. If anyone hasn't noticed, Keaton has lost a considerable amount of weight. Just on his face though, nowhere else.
Just on the face. I've just trimmed the beard down a little bit.
Yeah.
Just for that illusion. That's for the progress photos. You want to lose 10 pounds of water from your face in 16 weeks?
Get a beard, then shave it.
Yeah, get a beard, then shave it off. So, yeah, we'll go through some tips on how to hit your goals, where you might be going wrong, and some advice. You want me to kick it off, or do you want to kick it off?
I mean, go for the first one there.
Cool. So my first tip is going to be surrounding effort and direction. Now, there's a little saying that I like to go on about, and it's going to be have your roadmap and get your foot on the gas. Now, what I mean by that is you could have the best map ever. Now, what I mean by map is training program, nutritional program, goals, whatever it might be. If you don't put any effort in, so if you don't put your foot on the gas, you're not going to get to where you want to be. However, if you put your foot on the gas and you don't have a map, so you're just going in any which direction you want, you're also not going to get to where you want to be. So you need to have a good map and you need to get your foot on the gas, because we do not want effort with no direction, and we don't want direction with no effort. Would you agree with that?
Absolutely. I mean, if you having the roadmap in place is one thing, but that's just the first thing that you need to do anyway. So what comes after that? Fucking put the effort in.
Yeah. So. And it comes back to that quote that I literally said on the last podcast.
For those who listened.
For anyone that listened. If you didn't listen, then you can hear it for the first time. But unspoken expectations is premeditated resentment. And that is a quote by Neil Strauss. I don't know how to say his second name. But that is so important when it comes to getting your map, so goal setting, and putting some effort in. Because if you come to me and you do not tell me where you expect to be in a certain period of time, or if you go to a coach and you don't tell that coach where you want to be in a certain period of time, then it is unfair for you to resent that coach when you do not reach that outcome.
Leads quite well into what I was going to say. So a bit more into the roadmap, setting a plan. So, having a plan is good, but a plan realistically is nothing. Like I just said, planning is everything. So what do I mean by that? I mean, when you have a plan, that is the ideal scenario. This is how it should ideally go. Planning is a consistent thing that you do. So maybe this week you're injured. The original plan doesn't fit anymore. You need to change that plan and be fluid in a sense to make sure that you're going to hit that goal regardless.
Yeah, you need to take each period of time, whether that's a couple of days or a week or a month or 6 months, you need to plan for that time specifically, because not everyone's life is going to be easy all the time. And it's something that I chat about with clients all the time. There are going to be roadblocks that come up, and you need to plan for those roadblocks. You need to plan for how each period of time is going to look. If you know you're going to be busy, then that plan's going to look different. If you know that you've got free time, then that plan's going to look different. You need to plan based off the circumstances that you're going to be experiencing through your life, and they're always going to be changing. So you need to have that fluidity, like you said.
And like with the goals that you set, inevitably they are going to become harder to achieve. Like, yes, maybe the rate is the same. So like an easy one to compare to is like, week 1 of your training ever, what was the first thing you ever pressed? 20 kilos, Is that jump from 20 to 22 kilos the same as jumping from 60 to 62 kilos in a press? No, but technically the rate of gain is the same. And I think realizing that things will get harder the more developed you get at these things is a good thing, and it's something that you should embrace. I mean, there's a great quote from Marcus Aurelius, and I'll have a lot of Stoic quotes because I've been listening to a lot of Stoicism recently. Ooh. But it's basically that what stands in the way becomes the way. So whatever your obstacles to overcome should be the way that you have to go. Whatever's hard is meant to be the way. That's where you get the progress. That's where you develop. That's where you get stronger.
Yeah. I think it's a nice place to end that one, to be honest.
We'll just call the pod there.
Lovely quote, yeah. Thanks, guys. Cheers for listening. Nice, 5 minutes. So The next thing I would say is you need to be aware that you're going to need to make some sacrifices. If you want to achieve what other people can't achieve, then you need to put in the work that other people aren't willing to put in. And that links into what you were saying there. You need to embrace the hard work. If you keep doing the same thing that you've been doing, you can't expect changes to be happening, right? So if you keep doing poor quality work, you're not going to achieve high quality results. And I listen to a lot of Modern Wisdom, in case anyone listens to that. Chris Williamson, I'm sure his name is, who hosts that. And he says this quite a lot. And it will be talking about the thing isn't doing the thing. Planning to do the thing isn't doing the thing. Announcing the thing isn't doing the thing. The only thing that you can do is to actually do it. So you're going to need to make some sacrifices across your life, and you're going to need to put in the effort, and you're just going to need to do the do.
Sacrifice is such a great point. Like,
Yeah.
I don't think that there's anything worth achieving without sacrifice.
Yeah. If it's going to make it worthwhile. If you achieve a great thing, it's because it was hard to do. Like, no one ever celebrates the everyday tasks that are super, super easy to get,
you woke
to
up.
get done. Well, you woke up, well done, you made your bed.
Yeah.
That's it. But if something is actually worthwhile, what's the word I'm looking for? If something's actually worthwhile pursuing, then there's going to need to be some level of sacrifice there. And understanding that from the get-go, so understanding that you will need to make some sacrifice from day one. Yes, that sacrifice might not be as much at the start because some slight changes in routines and habits will actually see some progress. But like you said, as you push on, the amount of sacrifice will probably need to become greater as your goals become greater as well.
Yeah, that's another thing as well. Like, as you develop, the goals will have to become bigger inevitably, for what you're doing. If you've achieved all of the low-hanging fruit per se, then eventually you'll need to start setting some bigger goals, something more interesting for you to achieve. I think when you first start out in anything that you do, it's very easy to set like a achievable goal, but once you've achieved all of the low-hanging fruit, you do need to set those big goals, and like you say, those big goals are going to need bigger sacrifices.
That's exactly what I was going to say, the low-hanging fruit. And I would actually encourage people to just look for the low-hanging fruit at the start. So don't get ahead of yourself. We could actually touch on that as well. You don't need to be making too much of a sacrifice from day one. Like, you can actually just go for the low-hanging fruit, make some progress, and then as you progress through your journey, then you can start to make greater sacrifices as you go on.
And what are you going to need to help you achieve them goals, man? A nice, lovely support network. So what do you think about that?
I think it is super, super, super important. If you don't have someone there encouraging you, telling you to pull your finger out when you're not actually doing the do, like I just spoke about, then it's going to be super hard for you to get that from within sometimes. Sometimes, like we said, you might be feeling down. You might not be motivated. You might be tired. And if you try to seek that from within yourself, sometimes it just might not be there. But that's when having a support system, coach, friend, family, whatever it might be, who is there to support you and actually make you realize your true potential and think, yeah, if you're just having a bad day, we'll get through. This is the goals. Remind them of that. It is crucial. Yeah.
And with that, you need to realize a certain kind of mindset to be able to reap the rewards of a support network. The people who are trying to push you to do more, or kind of center yourself in what you're doing, or realize the expectations you've set for yourself, you need to be in a mindset that's willing to take on that feedback. And like you said, the days that you don't want to do it and you were on your own and your internal monologue is telling you, we'll just get it done today and that's enough. When you're with someone and they see that you're not pushing as hard on what you're doing, they're going to give you more than what you want to do, and you just have to accept that. And if you really wanted what you wanted to do, you would try.
Yeah. So how would you go about creating a strong support network? Because there might be people listening to this thinking, in my support network right now, I've got people that maybe aren't too encouraging. How would you go about perhaps shutting them off or not seeing them as much? Or
well, it doesn't. I don't think it has to be that brutal. It depends how serious your goal is.
Yeah.
If you have a pile of mates that want to get drunk every weekend, and you've been doing it with them for weeks and weeks, and you have big goals in terms of your fitness and health, eventually it's going to be detrimental to you.
Yeah.
And eventually you will be that guy in the group who they don't want to hang around with because you're just too serious. You don't want to partake in the crazy things they want to do. And that's okay. I think that's what you need to realize. And it's just a case of you're in this group mindset where that is their mindset. And if you put yourself in the light of other people who are doing the things that you want to do, that group will be so much easier for you. And maybe it is a wee bit harsh to think like you do have to make some sacrifices in terms of your friendships and relationships to achieve these kind of goals that we're talking about, because I think we both probably have experienced a shift in the friends that we have over time, and it's not because we don't like them or hate them, or it's just the lifestyles don't align anymore. So
Yeah. I think that's when you know you've got perhaps a strong support system already. If your friendship group can actually turn around and say, you know what, we actually respect your goals and we're absolutely fine with that, and they don't view you in any other type of way, or they don't hold it against you, then you think, right, okay, I've actually got a pretty decent support system right now, because they're absolutely fine with me maybe not seeing them as frequently or whatever, things like that, then absolutely fantastic. And then linking into what you said as well, finding a support system, I think the quote is like a strong tide rises all ships. So if you can surround yourself with people that have similar goals, then they're only going to build you up. You're only going to get close to that. You're going to accelerate your rate of gain and your rate of progress so much quicker, and you're probably going to have a hell of a lot of a better time doing it as well. To be fair, you're probably going to enjoy it a lot more.
what about for yourself? Do you think when you first, obviously there was a time when you didn't train and these goals were very maybe alien to the people around you. Do you think there was ever a time that you had to make like an active decision, like I need to start looking for these people that I need around me? Like surely there's been maybe friendships, relationships, or family that have thought, what are you at? Especially when dieting, like when you're starving yourself.
Yeah, dieting is the main one that people question. Then, you know, why are you doing this? But there's loads of reasons that I would be doing it. But I think luckily I'm probably in a sport or a niche where it's pretty solo anyway. I think you could probably agree on that. Like if you enjoy like a more bodybuilding style of training, you can go into the gym yourself. You can crack on with your goals yourself, and you can still like go out and, you know, I'm not saying I don't see my pals and all that. No. Do you know what I mean? Like you can still balance all that stuff and you can still make it work. If you've not watched my YouTube video, then you should go and watch that. That's what I cover. But you can still go out and make it work. But yeah, obviously just maybe not doing it as frequently. But I've been pretty lucky to have a good support system and a good friendship group that completely understand that. So it's not been like a massive hurdle for me, I wouldn't say. Yourself?
I've had to move friends around essentially. And it's not like there's people that I absolutely love that I just can't see as often. And it's just a case of like, it's not going to be beneficial to me. And that's where this individual part of what we do comes in. Obviously, this is very extreme to what we'd probably preach to our clients, because it's just a case of where their goals are. Like if I want to step on stage at some point, that's not going to come from me being really relaxed about things that I need to achieve.
Yeah.
But I think it's easier when you've been training for a while, because then you can tell when you're in the gym who's taking it serious. Yeah. You can go up to those people and you can easily ask them like, oh, what are you doing? Maybe they're helping on the exercise you're doing. You can work in with them. Boom, you've got a friend. Over time, you'll eventually have someone who you can rely on, or in that network, especially with like a relationship. Those are the people you see most. People you see in the gym isn't very often. Like if your relationship isn't serving you, then obviously that's something you'd need to consider if they don't believe in what you're doing. And with family, you just got to accept it.
Yeah. We could probably chat about like the whole relationship and family side in like a whole another pod. Yeah. To be fair, that's quite a deep dive. But yeah, definitely surrounding yourself with like-minded people and building a good support network is going to be crucial for all sorts of progress. Doesn't need to be gym progress, just progress in general. I want to move on to my next point, which is going to be habits and lifestyle, something that I think is massively overlooked. You can go to the gym, you can have this gold standard plan that was created by God himself. It could be the absolute bee's knees. But if you're doing that 3 times a week, and then, like you said, you're a weekend warrior, maybe you go out Friday, Saturday, Sunday, undo all your progress because of your poor habits and your poor lifestyle, then you're not going to make any progress anyway. So you need to be aware that it is more of a lifestyle change. Even if you're not willing to admit it, you want to become a better person. You don't want to be the same person that goes and trains, or you want to be the same person that, I don't know, goes and runs, lifts weights, high rocks, CrossFit, whatever it may be. You need to somewhat become a better person all round throughout many, many different aspects of your life. So you need to create a path of least resistance for your habits and your lifestyle, is where I wanted to go with this. Do not take too big of a leap. And we done a video on this. Like, if you just want to get a little bit fitter, you do not need to go on Instagram and copy someone that is waking up at 5 a.m. and doing a 10K and then finishing it off with a nice bath and then reading 20 pages of a book all before he has breakfast and goes to work at 8:30, right? You don't need to be doing that, but you do need to be making small lifestyle and small habit changes over time, which is going to make the path to your progress have the least resistance.
What is it they call it? Is it habit stacking?
Habit stacking. You can also get like habit pairing. So if anyone's not read Atomic Habits by James Clear, I would really, really recommend that they go and read that, because it's a little bit of a hack, in my opinion, in order to get the most out of stuff that you don't enjoy doing at the moment. So let's look at an example. Say you have to make an important phone call. You don't want to make that important phone call, but you really enjoy going for a walk. You would pair those two together. So whenever you have to make important phone calls, you tell yourself, I'm going to make those important phone calls when I'm out a walk, when I actually am doing something that I enjoy. So you're pairing two activities together, one that you one that you don't like, and then one that you do like, in order to make the one that you don't like more bearable, so that you can get more done. That is a pretty basic example of that. Something that would be more habit stacking would be doing something that's going to become more autonomic. So let's say when you brush your teeth in the morning, for example, I'll wake up and I'll go for a shower, and straight after I get out the shower, I brush my teeth. It's not something that I need to think about. So you want to turn your habits into like a similar pattern there. So let's say you want to read 5 pages of a book in the morning. You'd make it a non-negotiable that you read 5 pages of that book after you brush your teeth, and eventually you'll get to the point where you don't need to think about it. It's just something that you do. You wake up, brush your teeth, read 5 pages of your book, and then that's you making that lifestyle change or that habit change a hell of a lot easier and more autonomic.
I think a lot of people fail to remember that we are very habitual creatures. Like, whether you've got bad habits or good habits, you have habits, and that you'll fall into all the time. And you know, if you wanted to read the book very often, where's the best place to keep that book? Where you are the most, or where you're going to read it, not kept away somewhere hidden. You know, like you were saying before, path of least resistance should really be applied to anything that you want to do. So, will we move into the next point?
Yeah, you want to
did you have anything else you want to say there?
We could maybe go on that in a little bit more detail and just say that if you hate doing something, the chances of you actually doing that is going to be extremely low. So you need to look at those poor habits, and you need to put a plan in place in order to make the things that you hate doing a little bit easier, and then make the things that are really easy for you to fall into right now. So let's just say on Saturday you go out, and then on Sunday you're hungover and you order a Domino's. Quickest way to stop that would be maybe to not get as hungover, or maybe not go out. So you want to make the things that are poor choices really hard to do, and you want to make the things that are right now hard to do but are going to have a great impact, you want to make them as easy as possible.
Is there anything that you do at the minute that maybe someone could benefit from in terms of your habits?
My habits, so right now I'm cutting, so I prioritize more of my steps in the morning, whereas when I was gaining I wouldn't, because my step goal wasn't as important. But if I leave a large number of my steps to the evening, the chances of me looking at that step goal and thinking, well, I need to get 7,000 steps, and right now it's 7 o'clock, I don't want to do that. So what I do is I wake up, I'll do a little bit of work, and then I'll prioritize more steps in the morning, so that when the evening rolls round and I see a much smaller total of steps for that day, then it's not as much of a hurdle. I can say, well, now it's only 2,000 steps, which will only take me about 20 minutes, and then that becomes way more achievable for me. I actually want to go and do those steps. So that's a habit change that I've put in place, is prioritizing more steps in the morning, so that when the evening rolls around, I'm much less likely to patch it. Yourself?
I mean, there's one that I still do to this day that I don't really need as much anymore, but I still do it. But I remember I used to not be a very good morning person, and I used to just snooze that alarm 24/7 and just sleep in. So much so that I'd be late for a lot of things in the morning, just because I was hell bent on the fact that I thought I wasn't a morning person. So much so that I would then struggle to fall asleep that night, thinking, you know, fuck, I'm not going to wake up in the morning, you know?
Yeah.
So, and then I get anxious and stressed about not being able to fall asleep, because then I'm not going to get as much sleep, and then I'm going to end up sleeping in. And of course, I'd sleep in. But what I ended up doing was I would move my phone charger alarm to the other side of the room. That's so that the only way that I could get up and turn off that annoying alarm was if I got up. and then I would make a promise to myself that if I'm up, I'm up.
Yeah.
That has had some drawbacks. So like when I wake up an hour before my alarm, but I've got up, then I'm awake now, which is a shame.
Once you're out of bed, it's way harder to then go back into bed and go back.
I mean, a lot of people probably disagree with that.
Yeah.
Very easy for them to fall back asleep. But I feel like if you start telling yourself things, they become you. You know, I don't want to say it's positive affirmations. I don't really like. It is. I don't like phrasing it as that, but it is obviously positive affirmations. But if you do say something like, you know, when I'm in the gym, I'm really focused, or when I'm dieting, I stick to my plan no matter what. If you say these things and make these like almost self-contracts with yourself, that you've signed basically by saying you will eventually just become that.
Yeah, I 100% agree with that. I don't think there's anything cringy about that. I would actually encourage people to adopt that mindset. Tell yourself that you, for example, are a morning person, and you will, over time, if you put in the right habits and stuff that we've been talking about, you will become a morning person.
So the last one I think we should move into is probably a good one, which is accountability. So for this one, it kind of moves into all the ones that we've discussed, but it's kind of like it's almost like one of the building blocks, in my opinion, for building whatever you're setting this goal to. I think we should probably caveat again that we are talking about goal setting for whatever goals you have and how to achieve them. But accountability for me is a really big one. And I think there's a really good quote in this. Let me think. Accountability breeds responsibility. So what I mean by that is that you being accountable to more people and being accountable to yourself will lead to you being more actionable in that goal. So if you know that people are relying on you, you're more than likely going to do something. And it's the same with your own actions. And maybe you're the only one relying on it, but you could make that something that everyone's relying on you to do by telling loads of people, this is what I'm doing. And then they find out, how are you getting on with that? You're going to lie to them and say, it's going really well, but you haven't been doing it.
Well, even if you lie to them in the moment, you might think I need to really crack on with that when you're not with them and actually start. And that's kind of leaning more so towards like self-accountability. I think accountability from someone else though is also really, really important. So having someone that knows the standard that you can operate at, and having someone that's always going to push you towards that standard. So obviously really easy for us to sit here. We deal with our clients, but I say this to my clients all the time. I will always hold you to a standard that I know that you can operate at, and I won't really be accepting anything less, because why would I? My job is to hold you accountable and try to push you to operate at your highest standard all the time so that you can get the best results possible. So having someone in your corner that's going to be holding you accountable to perhaps a higher standard than you would even hold yourself sometimes, if you've not realized what you're capable of, is extremely important.
For me, I think with coaching, just to drop that in there, that for me, that is the most valuable part of coaching for me.
Yeah.
I think if my check-in was once a month, I would be performing terribly. Yeah. I really believe that for me, I know what I'm doing. I'm coaching other people on what to do, and I still have a coach.
Yeah.
Now, for me, the things that I'm being told to do aren't outside my realm, and there's nothing there that I think that I couldn't maybe do myself. But the accountability of having someone that I trust to know what I'm like, to tell me, Leon, you're slacking this week, or you've missed the beat, or just the fact that I want to impress the person that I'm, being coached by, makes a huge difference to the the effectiveness of what I've done in the week. Maybe if I did it myself, I would be a bit more relaxed. Obviously, you have a bit of a different take on that because you coach yourself. So you have to have that self-accountability to a whole new level. Yeah. Whereas I think it's something that I use day to day, but I like the accountability of others more, because the self-accountability for me can be overlooked really easily for me.
Yeah, I definitely have accountability from other sources. Like I touched on before, it's my living, it's what I do, it's how I make money, it's what I enjoy, and it's leading from the front. So I can definitely get that accountability from other sources, not maybe specifically a coach. But I think linking into that point is a lot of people will put self-limiting beliefs on themselves, and they'll not actually realize what they're capable of. And me and Leon sitting here being coaches, understanding of where we can take one person from and what we can build them into be, it's easy for us to see actually what's achievable. Like literally just through working with people and going through similar transformations and taking them from a person that they weren't happy with to a person that they didn't think they could actually be. When clients come on and they have those self-limiting beliefs and think, I can't achieve that, this person is, gold standard, how can I get there? And actually breaking down and thinking, well, here's a plan, here's how we're actually going to get here, is, I think that's invaluable to some people, because some people wouldn't have seen that and some people wouldn't have reached out for that because of those self-limiting beliefs that they put on themselves.
I think with that as well, like accountability in general, you obviously need that because you're doing something hard, and everything, as much as we would like to downplay how hard it is to achieve your fitness goals and make it as easy as possible, it is hard.
Yeah.
It is hard to do these things, otherwise you'd be in shape 24/7.
Yeah.
But I think people need a lot of perspective when it comes to how hard you are actually working. A lot of people love to say I'm in the trenches, or I'm working harder than you, or that what they're doing is this massive, massive thing, like they're about to climb Everest, when in reality, like you've lost a kilo this week. Relax. And I think with that, there's a really good quote by Seneca, which is, we suffer more in imagination than in reality. And I think mentally, we will always make it worse than it actually is, especially when you're dieting. It's so easy to look at your dieting as this huge thing that's so hard to do. And then once you finished your diet, like, that was easy,
Looking back on it, I could have done that for another 4 or 5 weeks. I think we have space for probably one more, to be fair. And I think this is a very important point to make regarding to achieving your goals, and it's going to be education. Make it a learning process. Now, I don't want to repeat myself and say that I say this to clients. I feel like I say everything to clients on this podcast. But the way that I describe it to people is, I'm almost like a driving instructor. Now, when you're learning to drive, you will eventually pass your test. Once you pass your test, do you drive around with your driving instructor after that? Of course not. That's the same way that a coach should be. You should come on board to learn from a coach, or it doesn't need to be a coach. It could literally be anything at all. But you should turn it into a learning process to the point where you feel like you're confident enough to do it by yourself. Because if you gain that confidence, then you can keep those skills with you for life, and you'll have way more certainty in actually getting towards your goals, because you would have equipped yourself with the power essentially in order to get yourself there. So turning it into a learning process is super, super, super important in my opinion, so that you can actually achieve long-term success and you have the goals. You've equipped yourself with the knowledge to do it whenever you want.
That is the perfect point to end on.
Yeah. So sign up for coaching.
Lift Initiative Coaching.
Yes.
Right.
So yeah, that is going to be episode 3 on a roadmap to achieving your goals. If you have enjoyed listening, then we would very much appreciate a little rating on Spotify, or a like on YouTube, or share it with your friends. Get it around.
And if you have any ideas for what you'd like to see on the next pod, drop us a message.
Yeah, drop us a text. Instagram's probably the best place to get us. Anything you want at all, fire it over. We'll be happy.
We're not sure.
Yeah, we need some ideas.
Right, we'll wrap it there.
Thanking you